Hello, people of the internet. This is a Geek Gaming Culture channel, or as it has now become recently, the Hellena Taylor is an absolute liar channel, because this is, again, the, third Saturday in a row we had to go and talk about this. And though I wish she would go away, I wish that the people at Nintendo Platinum would do their job in absolutely nailing this woman with a lawsuit, because she keeps going and going and going. Maybe I don't want it to go away because I want to see that happen. I want to see Nintendo and Platinum give her exactly what she deserves, and that being a lawsuit. However, she has tried to come about and do a weird thing in which she wants for people to donate to charity instead of supporting the game with your funds, with your money, with your purchase. Now, what I would say is to do both. Buy the game, and then if you have enough left over after you do so, and if you can bear it, donate to your favorite charity. It doesn't have to be something that we're with you on a political landscape. It could be any kind of charity. It can be for Prevent Cancer Foundation. It can be for something like Doctors Without Borders. It could be for Team Rubicon. For any kind of charity you want. It doesn't have to be for anything we or she wants. However, my thing that I said is that if you're still wanting to boycott Bayonetta 3 on this point, and I'm not saying you can't buy it because you don't have the funds, or you haven't played the originals yet, or kind of spectral fighting, so that genre is not really your thing, you're more into like RPGs or something like that. Not that. If you're boycotting Bayonetta 3 on the account that you believe she's telling the truth, then you are a moron. And I'm not saying to be blunt, I'm not saying it to be condescending or trollish. I really do think you are an idiot if you really do think that she is telling the truth here, because you have not looked at the absolute facts that came out. And yes, these are facts. These are not just something that somebody just made up, because when she came out with these accusations, I knew right from the start that she was not telling the entire truth, because there were mighty red flags that anyone with a brain could have seen. And she appealed to emotion, and she appealed to the more general issue about compensation for what voice actors and actresses should be getting, and she has damaged that talk. She has damaged that dialogue, and I don't think anybody should have that dialogue anymore until they figure out how to deal with the problem that Hellena Taylor has done. This is HellenaGate. This is exactly what it should be called. But she has still continued to go on about it. But now the media has picked up on this and has done even worse for themselves, because of course they're going to. And I think I have an idea as to why they are suddenly trying to go about doing this. However, let's first get to the tweets that Hellena Taylor made, and then we'll go to how the media is trying to spin this into some kind of divisive thing. First of all, to this lying sack of garbage. My posts have hit a nerve with people. Low pay resonates not just in the gaming industry, but in wider world beyond, all over the planet. And of course, we're playing the hashtag game with all of these hashtags. To donate your boycott money, there are many small local charities that need your help. Food banks, homeless charities, children's charities, animal charities. Alternatively, buy homeless people coffees, buy a cake for a lonely elderly neighbor, buy a bunch of flowers and give one to people who look sad on the street without saying a word. We must care for people. So many ideas once you start. Now, she had promised to list the charities that she was donating to, and as promised, here they are. Here are the 14 that I donated 100% of my video game conference autograph signing fees to if you need some inspiration. MSF USA, that's Medical Science Frontiers, Doctors Without Borders, the Civil Line UK, Humane Animal Trust, and then she continues on. Now, this is the one that is getting a lot of attention. This last tweet here. Pets for Vets, LAMD Drama, Student Pizza Fund, whatever that is, Dogs Trust, and if you notice, there are a few ads that she's using that don't get linked. Keep that in the back of your mind. Missionariesofcharities.org, your local branch. Team Rubicon, which by the way, we do support here on this channel. They do excellent work, and I don't want them to be sullied by the rest of this. BB for Life KY, we'll come back to it. Put a pin in that, we'll come back to that one. The Halo Trust, St. Monica 90403, Brother Andre Medical Center, Dandura, Kenya, and KC Foundation UK, ACN UK. Now, without saying anything else, without even going into any of these particular charities, anything of the sort, before going into what these are actually actually doing what they do, you can safely say that she is weaponizing charity. She is telling you that you should be doing this instead of that. That's what they were accusing a lot of people of doing that were trying to raise awareness or to blow the whistle on corruption in video game media. And that has something that's been going on before and after an ordeal that happened in 2014 that a lot of people point to when people try to bring that up. I think it's some kind of conspiracy theory when we have advocated for cleanup of that for years, for decades. That's been going on for a long time, since the 2000s, since 2010, before this all came about, before it all blew up. And after it blew up, they use it as a way in order to not have to address it or to pretend that it's not happening and try to smear it as something completely different. Two things are not necessarily connected with one another. However, this is what she's doing. She is trying to tell you and shame you for not donating to these charities and instead buying a game in which she felt that she was snubbed from of what she felt she deserved, which is far more than what she said to us that she got, and could be lying about it even at that point. She could be lying about this right now. Who's to say that she's not lying about her donating to any of these? Keep in mind, there are two particular charities that she did an ad for, whom Animal Trust and Dogs Trust, that seem to not have a Twitter account. I'm not sure that means anything or not, but that seems to be really suspicious. Are you really donating to these, Hellena? Are you really saying that you're giving to these people? Because Team Rubicon were doing some good work in trying to clear out some roads of debris so medical personnel and emergency personnel could get to the affected places and the affected areas of Hurricane Ian. So don't drag them into this, because quite frankly, I don't think they'd be too happy that a liar like you would be trying to drag their name through the mud and all of this. But are you really donating to these, or are you just trying to appeal to people who will be sympathetic? And there's less and less people who are being sympathetic. And like I said, that you're really lucky that Nintendo and Platinum are not suing you, and we are advocating that they do, and we're still advocating that they do. However, I did say to keep in mind the BB for Life KY, because that's the one that is going to get the attention when we start talking about what some of the media is trying to do here, is that they are trying to do a really slimy tactic, and I want to specify what that tactic is, because if you notice, this is a particular situation that transcends politics. Yes, everybody is well aware of the issues that voice actors and actresses have with getting compensation. We've said that countless times. What I have also said countless times, that this transcends partisan politics. If you noticed, a lot of progressives have spoken out against this. A lot of people who were once on our side, who were Democrats, are starting to see the real Hellena Taylor here. And of course, some of the people who would agree with some of her politics and some of her positions don't like what she did either, and they are speaking out against her as well. This is the one thing that is bringing unity across both sides of the aisle. So guess what? Apparently we can't have that. Apparently there needs to be some division here. Apparently there needs to be something here that shows that, hey, us progressives, we came up with this first. And those people who say are not on our side would be on our side politically. And not necessarily. There's something else that we need to talk about when we come into this, because let's get to it. And I will defer to a tweet from Sophia Norwitz, a transgender journalist that doesn't have to use their transgenderism as a weapon, unlike one James Stephanie Sterling has to do all the time whenever someone disagrees with them. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to forget about that, did ya? Maybe places like Reset Era and TV Tropes or Sterling can learn from somebody like Sophia on that front. Anyway, I digress again. She posted this saying, "Call me crazy, but maybe she should be canceled for manipulating fans and lying about the pay situation surrounding Bayonetta, and not for holding a widely common political stand." And as you can see, places like Kotaku and Nintendo Wire and The Gamer and Game Rant had all mentioned a particular charity that she was donating to, the BB for Life KC, which is a what they characterize as anti-abortion charity. I am not in any liberty to say whether or not I agree with that or not, whether or not I agree with the characterization or not. I don't know much about any of these charities outside Team Rubicon or Doctors Without Borders, aka Médicos Sans Frontières, aka MSF, which again is not something that should be included in any of this, or none of the charities should be included in this whole thing that she's trying to do. She's weaponizing the charities. And let's not confuse this with saying that she doesn't have the right to hold those beliefs. We, as a society, have the right to hold any belief we want and disagree or agree with any position we want in whole or in part. And just because we agree with somebody on a fundamental issue doesn't exactly mean we agree with their reasoning or their solutions to a particular issue. But if you don't see this by now, you can definitely see that all this time we were on a unified front. And all these people have to say is, hey, she advocated for things that some people on the right would also advocate for, not necessarily that hard, but would be advocating for. And they're still not agreeing to what she did. So she's not even getting love from those people that she would agree with on a political stance. This shows just how horrible of a thing she has done. But no, they can't bring themselves to do that. They have to go for the divisiveness. And what I'm seeing they might be trying to do is trying to do the same thing that they did when those two people from the Free Hong Kong thing got ousted by Activision Blizzard. The very same people who were going against Hellena Taylor now were trying to advocate for those people who got kicked. And then when the mainstream media decided they were going to join in, they pretended that they were the ones who first called it out and that the rest of them were somehow lying or fabricating their support or something along those lines, or doing the exact opposite of what they were actually doing. They could not give the YouTubers and bloggers, the independent people, any kind of credit whatsoever for that. They had to find some way to say that they were the ones that came up with the idea first, and then slander and smear the people who were the first ones to come out of the gate, showing support for the people who were ousted. So now that's probably what they're going to try to do here, is that despite maybe agreeing with maybe some of her positions on the political spectrum, are not with her on this one issue. And it's not exactly a black and white issue when it comes to that either. Because here's the other thing, is that everybody keeps trying to do this false dichotomy fallacy when it comes to issues like these. These are sensitive topics that have several different positions tied to them. And what these outlets are trying to do is say either you're with us or against us. But you can't disagree with our position by even 1 millimeter. And if you want to, and you want to see that there are several different positions about the abortion debate and the Roe v. Wade thing, all you have to do is go and look up Common Ground's conversation video where they actually went to a protest concerning that, and you can see that the guy that was doing the interviews actually found that maybe some people who were for pro-choice had some limits to it. And you can see that there are several different places in which a person can go. And as far as the police is concerned, somebody might be for police reform, but at the same time not be for complete funding of the police. And they might say that there are some cops that do give the profession a good name and they should be showcased that this is what a good cop should be, and to make sure that there is some reform and some fixing of the system to where PTSD is being looked at, and it never has been looked at. Mental illness has not been looked at all in any spectrum. But again, I digress. The fact of the matter is that these are not black and white issues, and here are the gaming media who, by the way, why are they telling us what they believe again and are trying to divide us? Because apparently we become too unified. And if we're saying that, hey, this woman is trying to rob a company of something that she doesn't deserve, then maybe they'll look at other places in which somebody has lied or fabricated truths or has said half-truths when they don't have to do that. Remember, you are allowed to be progressive and agree with a Republican on something, even if it's a little bit, even if it's halfway. You are allowed to be a Republican and agree with a Democrat on something. I don't understand why we all have to be in these groups, these tribal groups all the time. And this is what it's showing, is that we can't even get out of our tribes for even 1 second, even for this, in which everybody is in agreement that this woman is a fraud. She's a liar. She's a cheat. She's somebody who will not go away, who has lied to all of us. Who's to say that she's not just trying to appeal to those people who she thinks would be on her side, or agrees with every single last little detail that she has said about these political things, just to get sympathy from that side? Because she has gotten sympathy from all of the progressives who are against corporate establishment, and she's lied to them. Who's to say she's not lying to any of the people in the right wing? thing. Who's to say that she's just trying to find something that will gain sympathy from people? Who's to say that she's not lying about these positions, that she holds these positions? We don't know, because she's lied to us before. She's outright lied to us. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, oh, well, I don't know who's telling the truth. I know who's telling the truth, and it's not her. I know who's telling the truth, and it's Nintendo. It's Platinum Games. I can say that because I've seen the red flags from the very beginning, and there are red flags here too. Don't think she's lying. You have not been paying any attention to what's been going on these past few weeks, and the media should be ashamed of themselves, because all they have to do is to say that she's weaponizing charity. That's all that this comes down to. And we don't even know if she holds these positions. We don't even know if she's even donating to any of these charities or not. She could be lying about that too. She could be lying at all facets of this, both about the initial 4K that she said she received, all about the idea that the franchise was making $450 million before merchandise, which is an outright lie that she's doubled or tripled down upon, about these charities, about if she holds right-wing positions, if she's suddenly changing these positions just so she can gain sympathy from anybody who holds those positions, or from anybody who might agree with a little bit of what those positions are, but not all of it, or something in between. She's appealing to anybody who's going to listen to what she has to say. She's a fraud. She's a cheat. She's a liar. That's all you have to say. And these media outlets are trying their best in order to have their cake and eat it too. And let's not even get into the issue that they might be trying to play both sides about this whole thing with the Bayonetta love interest, because that's a thing which I don't think even they have the capacity to even do. I don't think they have the wherewithal or the knowledge in order to pull something that elaborate off. But yeah, another case of trying to have their cake and eat it too. It is okay if you be a progressive and agree with the right-wing person on something, even if you don't agree on every single letter of what they're saying. These issues are not all black and white. You can agree that there is an issue with the police department and still think that defunding the police is not the way to go. You can agree that a woman should have the right to choose, while also agreeing there should be some limitation, and we have to be able to talk about that without having these fringe right and left wing echo chambers scream at one another and drowning out the rest of the conversation. That's the problem we're having. Some people are taking advantage of these very serious issues that we need discussions on, and are trying to strip away any nuance in these discussions. And that's what these media outlets are trying to do here, and we can't allow them to do that. And instead, what they should be doing is saying, hey, you know what? Even if we have our differences politically, and there are several conversations we can have about these issues, and she might be right in some form or fashion about some things that she might be saying, but not all the things she's saying about these issues. The fact of the matter is that we're all in agreement that she is a liar, she's a cheat, she's a fraud, and she does not deserve a place on the public stage. And it should be telling that we can agree on somebody politically, even if it's a little bit on the position, even if it's on the edge of that position, and still think that person that's saying it is a fraud and should have no place in the public spectrum. It should be dealt with legally by the people who need to deal with it legally. And if these gaming outlets want to talk about these political aspects, then do so. We can, as gamers, have a conversation about those things. We're not above that. We're not above having a conversation about those things. We're not below having a conversation about those things. But keep in mind that there are sensitive topics that have several different nuances to them. They're not all black and white. And yes, I know that there are people who are saying that she was also insensitive toward some identities as well. And I disagree that she should be that way. I highly am in support for LGBTQ plus communities. I'm highly in support for those. I don't like how corporations have perversed that aspect and tried to take advantage of it in order to make a quick buck without even taking care about how that makes the community actually look. That has nothing to do with whether or not anybody should be in support for those communities. And who's to say that she isn't lying about having those positions? The fact of the matter is that we can't trust her. And if you still trust her after all of this, I don't know what to tell you anymore. Maybe Nintendo Platinum Games should be suing her, because maybe it should expose to the rest of people who still are in doubt, who are still somehow saying they can't be sure who to trust. Maybe you should trust somebody who is not just trying to gain whatever sympathy they can by using whatever positions they can in order to get that sympathy. She's playing both sides of the equation here. She's playing both political sides, or all the political sides. There may be an octagon of political sides right now. She's playing all of them. Can't believe she's succeeding in doing that. Oh no, she's not, because we're seeing right through her. The only thing she is, the only position she holds is that of a fraud, a liar, and a cheat. And that's something that everybody on any political spectrum can agree upon. We are all together on this one. We are all in agreement on this one. And we should admit that. These outlets should admit that, and also admit that the only place that Hellena Taylor should have right now is on the stand in a civil lawsuit. That I can almost guarantee you, if that happens, Nintendo Platinum would win by a landslide, and she would be held liable to paying them a heck of a lot of money. This is a Geek Gaming Culture channel. That just happened.